You struck my son.
Yes, sir, I did.
And may I ask why?
Because he stole John Wick's car, sir, and killed his dog.
Nothing can stop and nothing can change it. You better just make new living arrangements. If you think you the top and king of the castle, you about to be thrown off the throne and ripped a new asshole. All I hear is I'm best at this and I'm best at that, but I don't hear my name known and brought up in rap. And I don't usually trip a tag, get caught up in that. But when they say one of the best in the way, all of is that. Not even the same league as Jay-Z, Nas, Pop, Biggie, or maybe the name me somewhere down the bottom right after AC. Or say he ripped the Biggie verse of the JCEO's verses were crazy and renegade beat. But I ain't never bought no whole CD or shady. And all I hear is pop tunes come on the radio. All on the glam 20 times in a row daily. And the very well maybe.
And got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, no turning back now. I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go. No turning back now. Let me take back my life. I'd rather pay all the love. No turning back now. Anywhere on my own, 'cause I can say. No turning back now. The very worst part of you is me.
I remember what they taught to me. Remember condescending talk of who I ought to be. Remember listening to all of that and this again. So I pretended I'm a person who is fit and pretend everything is what I want it to be. I look exactly like what you had always wanted to see. When I pretend I can forget about the criminal I am, stealing second after second just 'cause I know I can. But I can't pretend this is the way it'll stay. I'm just
Trying to bend the truth,
I can't pretend I'm who you want me to be. So I'm
lying my way.
like this isn't what I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me. Like this isn't what I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me.
So hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, no turning back now. I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go. No turning back now. Let me take back my life. I'd rather pay all the love.
No turning back now.
Anywhere on my own, 'cause I can say.
No turning back now.
The very worst part of you is me.
People keep asking me why I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Can you picture my prophecy? Stress in the city, the cops are topping me. The project is full of bullets, the bodies is dropping. They ain't no stopping me. Constantly moving while making millions. Witnessing killings, leaving dead bodies in the abandoned buildings. Carries the children cause they're illin'. Addicted to killing and the appeal from the gap villain. Without feeling, but will they last? So be blasted, hard-headed bastard. Maybe you're listening in this casket, the aftermath. More bodies being buried. I'm losing my homies in a hurry. They relocating to the cemetery. Got me worried, stressing my business blurry. The question is, will I live? No one in the world loves me. I'm headed for danger. Don't trust strangers, put one in the chamber whenever I'm feeling this anger. Don't wanna make excuses, cause this is how it is. What's the use unless we're shooting? No one notices the you. It's just me against the world.
And got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Yeah,
No turning back now.
I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go.
No turning back now.
Let me take back my life. I'd rather pay all the love.
No turning back now.
Anywhere on my own, 'cause I can say.
No turning back now.
The very worst part of you is me.
That was not the video that I wanted to play. Let's do this a little bit smoother than what I did. Lawtide just seems to have the same initials as... No, he doesn't. I'm a moron. You know what? The heck with that. What's going on, everyone? I hope you're having a great night. I've already screwed up the show. I got a big old hog knot in tonight. Because the boys are irritating me. They're irritating me. Why do I have my desktop audio all the way down? Let's pull this back a little bit. How are you guys doing tonight? We got the spring game tomorrow, 1 p.m. at the Dide. Now I have texted C-Dog. You know what? I should call him. Let's call him. I text him, but I'll call him too. 1 p.m. tomorrow. Hope to see all you guys there. They've released the spring roster. Now, that's not a depth chart, but it just shows you who's on Team Wreckham and who's on, what's the other team? Let's go look at it. White and gold game. Team Swarm and Team Wreckham. Now, guys, you know what team we got to root for. Got to root for Team Wreckham. Got to root for Team Wreckham. That's what we need to link up to. I got to link my phone to my soundboard. All right, let's call C-Dog. He's probably doing something, but whatever. If he doesn't answer my call, that's going to wound my pride immensely. He's probably on a date with his wife or something.
Yo.
Hey, man, this could have gone disastrously, but you're on live here. And I just wanted to know, I guess you're on the show now. There's no need for you to jump into the stream yard. I don't know what I was thinking. Do you have a minute?
Sure.
All right. So if you guys don't know what's happening, there's a son of a bitch out there named Ben Moore talking shit about the Jackets. Did you get into this, C-Dog?
I started to, I don't know. I started to yesterday, but I hadn't had the chance. Really. I said I was going to. I know I said it, but I didn't get to it.
All right, well, I'm going to show the people on my right screen here. I need to organize my stuff better. As I predicted in my video, Daddy Coon has come to Ben Moore's rescue. Did you see this from the crowded booth? Let the quarterly Georgia Tech, Georgia State conversations commence. And then he's quote tweeting Ben Moore. All right. Mm-hmm. And Ben Moore's going, y'all have stadium debt, facility debt, got to be paid somehow. And Bryce is like, I mean, Tech does have facility debt. That's a fact. You know who else has facility debt, C-Dog? Literally every other college football program in the country. Ohio State has one of the largest facility debts right now, or just debts total as a program, excess of $200 million. LSU has facility debt right now. So I don't understand this flex. And honestly, I don't really have a problem with Bryce. I mean, Bryce has come on the show. We've had good conversations with Bryce. I don't understand his defense of Ben Moore, though.
Well, Georgia State they're wanting to talk about facilities. They play in a freaking baseball stadium.
Yeah. So, talking about our facility debt. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think someone said it best. It's not Georgia State that I have a problem with. It's Ben Moore. By the way, I offered for him to come on the show. He hasn't responded yet, but another Georgia State person has.
Oh, wow.
He's not even the best at what he does amongst the Georgia State faithful. Sad.
Dang.
Down bad. Big dang. Big dang. Big dang. Well, the roster has been released, so C-Dog, I plan on being there maybe around 11:30. That's an hour and a half. Gives us time to meet the people. What time are you planning on getting there?
I guess I'll get there same time as you.
Sweet. Sounds good to me.
We could get some freaking Waffle House.
Yes. we could get our year. Oh, and Josh Pittman mentioned, member of the channel and friend of the channel. He's like, "Hey, are you going to the remember how they sold stuff last year, the yard sale?" And I was like,
Yeah.
I hadn't seen anything about that. I guess they're not.
Oh, they're having another one?
No. He
Oh.
assumed they were, and I hadn't thought about it because
Oh.
I hadn't seen anything. But I'm
That's
sure
disappointing.
I'm sure Ben Moore would have something to say about that too.
Yeah. I love that thing, dude.
Yeah,
I
got
got
a lot
so
of good
many
stuff.
shorts.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Us with game worn jerseys for $50. Like I don't know that I've ever been happier, ever.
Yeah.
For anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. I wish they'd do that again. Disappointed that they're not.
I know. So I do have some topics I want your opinion on. I mean, we talked about Ben Moore. How about Nico? I guess I don't know what the truth of the matter is, but did not report to practice today and is stretching Tennessee he wants $4 million for this year, in line with other top tier quarterbacks.
I mean, is he worth that?
He's not even like top 30 in anything, in any relevant quarterback stat, I don't think.
Nowadays, it's like I don't know. Guys, teams will be willing to pay that just not have to find a new quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
retaining your roster is a big deal, but I mean, Nico, I don't think he's worth. That's pretty wild. I'm not so sure that he's worth all that.
Yeah, I get retaining your roster, but like as much as I like Haynes King, if he was demanding $4 million from Tech right now, I'd be like, man, I don't know. We might have to let him walk.
Right.
And especially, Nico isn't as good as Haynes King either.
Right. Yeah.
In my opinion. But
no, I think a lot of people would agree. Haynes King, I've seen people talk about him as one of the best quarterbacks, top 10 in the country.
ESPN listed him as top 10 in the country. And Jamal Haynes was listed as a top 10 running back in the country. So, I mean, none of that is public. I kind of wish it was at this point, but it'd be interesting to see what the people on Tech's roster are getting paid.
Yeah. We dropped the bag for we dropped the bag for Singleton the year before last.
Yeah, and then his value went up, and then the sons of bitches at Auburn came and got him.
I know. Damn it.
They got another one. They got a defensive back from us too.
Really? Who?
I forget. Tay Seymour, maybe? Is that who they got?
Oh,
It
really?
wasn't Ted Seymour. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I know they got one of our defensive backs.
Uh-huh.
Mayhem says he's barely top 10 in the SEC. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been following what Squidtard's been saying about this. Squidtard, he did a lot of the graphics on the channel. He's going to school for like graphic design or something. And, but he's a big Tennessee fan. He has his own channel. And it's been sad to see him on Twitter today. He's like,
I'm not so sure. He tagged us both talking about us taking a whooping, but I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure I'm so scared of Tennessee.
I'm not scared of Tennessee. And that's not me saying they're nothing to worry about or anything. But what I'm saying is I don't think they're going to just beat the fool out of us or anything.
Well, Georgia won the freaking SEC, and we took them to 8 overtimes. And that was, this past. I think we'll be better next year than, we were this past year. And I mean, Tennessee's good. I mean, they were a playoff team. I mean, they were good, but
well, it is hilarious that they were so concerned about not playing in the SEC title like all year. They don't, as they haven't since '98.
Yeah.
and then they get whooped in the first. Like, it didn't matter. So,
Right.
look, am I saying Tech is going to be a playoff team this year? No. Do I think Tech can play with anyone in the country? Yes. Call me crazy. Yes, I do think Georgia Tech
Yeah,
can
I
play
do
with
too.
anyone in the country. In fact, I
do
think
too.
Georgia Tech is a team that if you are a top 10 team, you don't want on your schedule
Right.
because they have the
They might
ability to
think
bite
they
you.
might, have the opinion that it's an easy, game, but it won't be. So it's home and home. Let me ask. So we start in 2026, right?
Next year.
When
Yep.
Who gets the first home game?
We do. Now, this is what, now there might be someone in the chat that knows more about this than me, but there's some discrepancy on, we're either going to play Colorado at Mercedes-Benz or Tennessee.
Oh my God.
So who would you rather play at the Benz?
I guess Colorado.
I agree. I'd rather play Tennessee at Bobby Dodd.
I'd rather play like the good big games at Bobby Dodd. That's just annoying. I don't know.
Yeah,
Kind of over the Benz.
I don't like playing at the Benz. I mean, obviously, I know why we're doing it. Every
Yeah.
decision is being made financially, and also, I mean, because of conference realignment, someone I think commented this on my video. BAT is kind of positioning us for realignment. So every season is going to be somewhat an audition. So you need to get a team like Tennessee or whoever on your schedule for that. Also, your payout is based on it.
I really hope. I mean, that should be the number one thing we're thinking about. That should be number one because it's coming. I really hope, and Georgia Tech concerned me with, Bat in his opening interview, they asked him about the ACC, and I mean, it could just be a coach speak or whatever, but he said that we love the ACC, we're happy, blah 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 blah. Well, that's not what I was hoping to hear.
No,
saying like I wanted to hear like, oh well, it sucks. We gotta get out of here. But I wanted to hear something more along the lines of if we're doing coach speak, we're gonna do whatever is best for Georgia Tech. That's what I wanted to hear. That's not what he said, and it could mean nothing, but I don't know. I really really hope that they're preparing for that because it's coming.
I do think it's coach speak, and I do think it's nothing like. There's morons in the conference like Florida State that are just going to beat their head against a wall and be the enemy of the conference. And Tech doesn't. But I agree with you. Like, I would rather them said, look, obviously we like the ACC. We're going to do whatever is in the best interest of Georgia Tech in the long term.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's with the ACC. You could even say that. Hope it's with the ACC.
Right.
Yeah. Mayhem Matthew asks, I want to get your thoughts on Georgia Tech to the SEC. Like, if Georgia Tech went to the SEC, would I have a problem with that? No. It's just not going to happen.
That's my ideal scenario, but no, it's not happening. No chance.
The SEC...
Georgia voted no to let us back in the 90s, so it's not happening.
No, Georgia. Well, I don't even know if it's that. I mean, I know Georgia voted no against it. It's just it doesn't serve the SEC's interest to add Georgia Tech. Nothing about like they already have a team in Georgia. They already have locked up the Southeast. So if the SEC is going to add teams, they're going to be looking at like North Carolina, Clemson, like running up. I would think the East Coast before they would add. I mean, I just don't see a scenario where they would add Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that would be the ideal scenario if we could get in the SEC, but
for sure, yeah. If Georgia Tech goes to a conference, it's the Big 10 or the Big 12.
The Big Ten is, ruling out the SEC. The Big Ten is obviously the next best choice. I would be over the moon if we went into the Big Ten. Not because I care about playing, friggin' Illinois, in September,
Right.
but because it would secure the future of our school. And whatever, freaking super conference,
Yeah, that comes out
freaking
of it.
NFC, situation that's going to happen.
So Mayhem says Sankey's been very vocal about keeping rivalries like Oklahoma, Texas, and evidently he mentioned Georgia Tech, UGA a few times. The thing is, like you're saying, all the teams, I believe, have to vote. Is it unanimously to let a team in? I don't.
No, it's not.
But it's never not been. So
Right.
for any team that's ever joined a conference, they've never joined and not had a unanimous vote.
Even Texas A&M voted yes for Texas.
And they
to come in.
can't stand them.
Yeah.
There's some deep-seated hatred between those schools that goes back to the Eric Dickerson days at SMU and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a wild turn of events if Georgia Tech goes to the SEC, though. So, are you rooting for Team Swarm this year again?
Team Swarm is, of course I am. You think I switch up on Team Swarm?
All right, well, let's do this then. I don't know how long you have. You can jump off at any point. But we have the roster here, and something else I don't like about what's going on in college football is everybody changes their number every year and does like musical chairs with their numbers. So here's Team Swarm. Now the confusing thing is like there's players on both teams, so all the quarterbacks I believe are on both teams, and even like Malachi Hosley. But Malachi Hosley is number 0, so he would be 1. I'm going to go through people that write their number down. These are guys you should be watching for. Jamal Haynes drops a 1, and he will be number 1. So he goes from 11. All right, I'll let you go because it's going to kick you off when I reset my soundboard.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're back on. Sorry, my soundboard just decided to freeze. It does this intermittently sometimes. Let me call C-Dog back because it kicks him off. There we go. All right, we're back at it.
Sweet.
You can't hear my scary voice? Hear my Negan voice? I will shut that shit down. You don't scare easy. All right, Bailey Stockton's number 7, Isaiah Canyon 4, Eric Rivers 3, Jamal Haynes goes from 11 to 1, and Malachi Hosley is number 0. So let's just keep going down the list. Rutherford will keep number 8, which is a miracle. Haynes King will keep number 10. Dean Patterson's probably a wide receiver to look out for. I'm pretty high on him. He'll be number 11. He was number 11 at FIU, I believe, too. Philo will remain 12. Graham Knowles, I really want him to pop off whenever he gets his chance. because number 14 is crack, dude. What was your number in high school? It had to be like
72.
Who's number 72 on the roster? Do we have a 72? There is no 72 on our roster. Interesting.
What?
No one has 72 this year.
Oh, man.
Eric Rivers supposedly isn't playing. Yeah, so I must have been muted when I said that. I know he's nursing some injury. Did I ever play football? What number were you? Didn't I just say that? But what about male models? Yeah, I played quarterback. I was number 14. That's why I like number 14. Tajay Butler's 15. Luke Harpering was 15. JP Powell, so we interviewed him. He's a running back, upgraded from a 3-star to a 4-star. We interviewed him on the channel. He'll be number 20. Tay Harris. I'm going to put a star next to this one. Tay Harris, one of the highest rated recruits we've ever signed. A guy we flipped from Clemson. He's from Cedartown, Georgia. Big get for us. 4-star defensive back. I think he's a guy that possibly could start day one, probably not, but I feel like by midseason might be a starter for Georgia Tech. I think he's that good. Peyton Joseph, he's listed 6'4", 315. Dang. Trelane Maddox, a guy I've been hearing really good things about. He will be number 28, running back. He came out of Parkview. And Parkview, I have a special place of hatred for because when I wrestled in high school, I got bent into a pretzel by a guy from Parkview. I was a freshman, and he threw a butcher on me that was not so nice. So if you don't know wrestling, that's where they basically throw their arm all the way across your face and crank your neck, and then he pinned me. And in actual wrestling, it isn't 1, 2, 3. It's both your shoulders are on the mat, and they hit the mat once, and you just lose. That's when I found Sea-Dog. When I couldn't breathe, I could give a damn about winning or losing. I just wanted to breathe, dude. I don't know if you've ever been choked, but there's a certain panic that sets in when you can't breathe.
Yeah.
Especially if they have to have an arm in wrestling, so there really aren't any blood chokes, but it's not fun.
I wrestled in 6th grade. I've told you about that, right?
No.
Yeah, dude. I wrestled in 6th grade. I just needed to play a sport, and I settled on wrestling. And I was gonna do swimming because I just liked it. But
Swimming, okay.
Yeah, I went to the swim meeting, and they gave us like pizza, and I ate it all. And then I found out that they were doing a wrestling meeting too. So I was like, you know what? Forget swimming. I'm doing wrestling. I thought it sounded way cooler.
Yeah,
And,
you were going to get your wrestling persona, be the green bastard. I'm the green bastard.
Yeah. I did wrestling, and I lost every single match.
Really?
I was fat in 6th grade.
So you wrestled heavyweights. They just hip toss. One guy hip tosses the other, and they win.
Well, I was going up against guys who had muscle. They were heavy because of muscle, not because of fat.
Yeah, that's a tough break.
Grade.
That's a tough break.
I went to a private school, and they have, I don't know, they have some good athletes there.
Oh yeah, I had the opposite experience. I don't think I lost in middle school, and then
Really?
I got wrecked once I started. We're wrestling guys from Parkview and stuff, and Jefferson actually has a really, really good wrestling program, and they start them from they take jujitsu and stuff when they're 5, 6 years old. Like they're dead serious about it. But
oh wow, yeah.
Anyways, all right, Kyle Eford. I think he was 44 last year. He'll be 44 this year.
Hey, for anybody laughing at me, I tied once.
Oh, on points.
I didn't lose every single one. I tied. Yeah.
I don't even know if I remember the point system. You got like 1 point for an escape, 3 points for a takedown, I think.
I don't remember points at all. I thought it was just like pin or not. But
what is this?
We couldn't pin each other. Obviously, I wasn't going to pin him, and he couldn't pin me. I just kept squirming away. So I don't know. I managed to tie one. So that was my crowning accomplishment in wrestling.
All right, so Zach Jones just sent me something. I you know what? I don't care what people think about it. I love these Twitter beefs. I love it. Whiskey Jacket has been on one. I guess him and Zach Jones have been, y'all been going at it.
Two Tech fans?
Yeah. This is tech on tech violence.
Oh, no.
You the same Zach Jones that moderates for WreckTalk? If so, I would have expected better. This is already starting off great. I know, big dang, but it's starting off good because it makes me look good. If anyone's going to get shit on, it's not me, and I'm okay with that. But I do love you, Zach Jones. But if I got to choose, if you don't see the irony in selling, what is HGF? Home game field? Naming rights? What is HGF? And I'm
historic Grant Field.
Historic Grant Field naming rights and moving prestige games to you need to spell the words out, sir, because idiots like me have to try and read it. Mercedes-Benz Stadium for money and then calling state a poverty program, then I guess you don't get irony.
Is that Whiskey Jacket saying that?
Yeah.
What's that guy's freaking problem? So we don't like red talk and he don't like trash talking.
No, I think he doesn't mind me, but he must not know my opinions on things because, like, do I like having historic Grant Field naming rights sold? No. But what do you want us to do? I don't like playing at Mercedes-Benz either. These are things you have to do if the ACC implodes and you don't want to get relegated, though. You got to do them. So you can stand on your pride and history of these names and be in the same boat as Georgia State. That would be irony. And I'm not even trying to trash Georgia State, but that's what will end up happening. Appreciate the $10 from Zach Jones says, that dude is mad because we are playing UT instead of GSU, and he's attacking Georgia Tech fans who are talking trash. He doesn't realize that what it takes to survive in the new college football. Have y'all seen the spring game rosters? Yeah, I mean, I have seen the spring game rosters. Look, we all have a common enemy here, guys. It's not Georgia State. It is, and I mean, I don't have anything against Georgia State. But again, I just don't have respect for a guy, first and foremost, that will delete his tweets after he gets flamed for them. That's a bitch move. And then act like, I'm just going to say it. We talked about this the other day, C-Dog. It's like what women do, where they nag and they poke, and then you freak out like, all right, geez, what do you want? And they're like, oh my God, why are you yelling at me? That's what Ben Moore is. He's the most annoying parts of your spouses. So,
yeah,
without any of the benefit.
Right.
It's not like he's easy to look at or something.
You don't even get no punani off of him.
No, I mean, you could based on how he argues on Twitter if you really wanted to, but anyways, did you send me a new thing? Huh? This is Zach Jones. I have to pull it off the screen. Buddy, WreckTalk is literally on the side of Tech fans that understand why we moved Tennessee. I mean, yeah. I get people like this guy, from what his thing says, is a Georgia Tech alum. He's a season ticket holder. I get it. And I don't pay for season tickets, but if I did, and then when we play at Mercedes-Benz, that isn't included in my season ticket package, I'd be pissed about that. Like that's kind of messed up. And I do think it's reasonable for people to be upset about that. But both things can be true, where it's like, well, I get that this is what we have to do. At least Tech doesn't charge a 10% talent fee like Tennessee does, and then has their quarterback hold him up for $4 million when he's not top 50 in anything relevant to a quarterback. At least we don't got that going on. I have a buddy who is a Vols fan. I'm excited to play them so we can trash talk. And that's my thing. Like this sideline GSU guy, he reached out. He was trash talking. Nothing wrong with trash talking. But once you enter the lion's den and you see the fire burning, don't be bitching when you start sweating. All right? You ain't no going back. Don't act like you're some collared up person afterward. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm John Wick, baby. And I'll lay them all down. Just line them up. That's how I roll. Anyways, back to the spring roster. You still there? I'm sorry. I just kind of went off on my own tangent for no good reason.
You're good.
Let me try and get through this roster here. Lineman Kevin P. I feel like I've heard his name. He would be one because we got a lot. We're going to play a lot of linemen. Do you have me on speaker?
Yeah. Why?
I had a little feedback.
Oh.
I don't know if Christian Garrett will play because he, I feel like they said he was coming off shoulder surgery from his senior year, but he is also 55. Joe Fusel will be, I think that's what he has been. Linemen don't tend to change their numbers. Joe Fusel, 67. Keelan Rutledge, 77. Ethan McKinney, 78. Who else on here do we need another number? Chris Elko. You know, Chris Elko just got a scholarship. A guy that showed at the last spring game. He'll be 89.
Yeah, I remember that.
I would think Amontre Bradford. He's a guy that we flipped from Colorado. Not this recruiting class, but the one before. He'll be 98. So that's for Swarm.
Man, he made a good choice.
He did. New linebacker, Melvin Jordan IV, will also be 0. So Rivers and Canyon are both teams. Braden Manley, I believe that's the guy that transferred from Mercer. He'll be number 11. I think he's defensive end. I hate how Georgia Tech doesn't distinguish on their roster between defensive ends, defensive tackles, and cornerbacks and safeties. It makes our job difficult. All right, Saeed Gibbs will be 13. Has a good name.
Yeah, he throws me off, dude, because he's freaking running around out there. His name's Gibbs, and he's got dreads hanging out the back of his helmet.
That's right.
It takes me back. And he even returns kicks, doesn't he?
I'm not sure.
He does. I'm pretty sure he does. So we got a dude that looks like Gibbs back in the back returning kicks.
Ronald Triplett, I believe he's a defensive end that came from like Houston, San Antonio. So that's a position we got to figure out in a hurry. Cayman Spalding, linebacker that we had come in from Tennessee Tech, will be wearing 35. Who else we need to look at on here? Josh Petty. That's one we're all going to be wanting to look at. Josh Petty will be number 69, Lamau. Jamison Riggs will be 70.
I wonder if he'll start seeing some playing time.
Well, he plays tackle, and we lost both of them, so it is certainly possible. Peyton Joseph will be 71. And there's probably some others. I don't see, it was Tay Harris and Dalen Pinson. What number is Pinson? Is he not? So he must not be an early enrollee. So I'm going to pull this on the screen here. These would be guys, if you want to screenshot this or whatever, numbers that I would kind of know and be looking out for at the spring game. Manley 6'2", 245, SoCon Defensive Player of the Year. Excited for him. What's going on, GT Faithful? I'll tell you what, I've got a StreamYard link pinned at the top of the chat. If you want to get on with me and C-Dog, talk about this spring game, talk about Ben Moore and GSU and this beef, or whatever you want to talk about, college football or otherwise, we can talk about it. You just hit that link, and actually, here we go. Now it works. If you want to click that link and come on with Rec and C-Dog, come on and talk shop, we'll do it. Let me go through the chat here and see what the people were saying. Josh Pittman says his poon must be good if Bryce keeps defending him. Damn. Is that what it is?
Yikes. You said it, not me.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. StreamYard link pinned at the top of the chat. What are you excited for the spring game? What are you looking for tomorrow?
I always look forward to just freaking going and seeing people that watch the channel and hanging out with you, getting some freaking Waffle House. That's the most fun.
I tell you what,
part about it.
if we get there at 11:30, we're gonna go to the Waffle House. 11:45, 11:50, something. We'll be at the Waffle House up there, by the Skeller School of Business. Was that First Drive?
It's 5th Street.
Yeah, we'll be on the 5th Street Waffle House. You want to come get some Waffle House with us? Appreciate Josh Pittman gifts 5 memberships. Michael Treese, Raw for Reason. Rob has a SEC bias. George Smith, Scott Gaines, all gifted memberships today. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, we'll be getting some Waffle House. I mean, I'm most excited to. I don't know if excited's the. I got to see this defensive line. You know, obviously Vandenberg's the only guy coming back that we are going to recognize from last year's roster.
Man, that's rough.
Yeah, so we bring in Ronald Triplett. I don't see him on here. That guy from Clemson. I'm trying to remember his name. Let me just filter by defensive lineman. Is it no? Matthew Alexander's a transfer from Central Florida. AJ Hoffler. We need to add him to the list. AJ Hoffler, a guy that I know they've, and I know I'm not spelling their names right, but a guy that I know Keys talked about in press conferences, he'll be 88. So AJ Hoffler, I'm trying to think of who else we came in. We talked about Matthew Alexander, Amontre Bradford, a guy that's not a transfer, Derry Norris, a guy from this last recruiting class, Andre Fuller, obviously Christian Garrett. We got to figure some things out there, though.
Yeah.
Did you say Luke Harpering is number 15? Isn't he a tight end? Yes. Guys, the days of numbers making any sort of sense for what position you play left 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But we got Mystic on. What's going on, buddy?
What's up? How y'all doing?
Hey,
Fantastic,
good.
man. Fantastic. And I just noticed you got, is that Bebe Thomas on your, hell yeah, dude. What do you
Yes,
think,
sir.
man? Are you going to be at the spring game tomorrow?
No, I have to work, unfortunately.
On a Saturday. Rough.
Dang.
Yeah, it is. It's first time I won't be at spring game in a while, but I know they'll have it on YouTube to watch later on. I'll just watch it then.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll try and do so. I'll try and cut up some relevant stuff and kind of break it down maybe the week following, or maybe that Friday. We'll look at it.
Right. I'm excited though. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling real good.
Well, good, man. Good.
I'll tell you this. So one thing I want to let everybody know, and a lot of people do not know this, but I put some money on Haynes King to win the Heisman this year, and I don't think it's a stupid bet this time.
Man,
Heisman.
Put money on him to win it. This man's confident in his quarterback. I like it.
Well, no, I mean,
Look, man, the most thing I'd be worried about that is him staying healthy. He hasn't had a single
that's
year
the
where
biggest concern of it. There really is.
Yeah.
Like, if he stays healthy, though, I'm telling you, I would not be surprised to see his name come later in the season.
Yeah, I think a few things have to happen. Obviously, we talked about one, he's got to stay healthy, and then he's got to throw downfield better. I mean, this is something that his own OC has mentioned. Just throwing 5 yards or so behind the line of scrimmage or in front of it, probably not going to get it done. But I think he can do it. I'm not saying he can't.
Oh, absolutely. But the reason I did is they had a stadium tour, and I was the only one that showed up. Like, this was way back. This was like late or middle February they did it. It was cold out. And I swear to God on this that he was the only player on that field by himself, and he was just practicing, and he just looked so determined. Like, you could see it in his face.
Yeah, man.
That he was just locked in. I'm like, it kind of clicked. I'm like, okay, because that's just something you don't get to see often.
That's really cool that you're the only one that showed up.
Yeah, and you see Haynes King practicing. That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
No, I know. That's the thing. Like, the dude that was doing the tour, though, he was shocked because you don't get to see many people there. Like, normally no one's there, but it's like he says this is very rare.
Yeah. Some other things we got to get figured out. I mean, you got to be able to protect them. So you're replacing your center and both tackles. And then, we'll see how Eric Rivers does. If he could really get some help from his receivers, and then Malachi Hosley in combination with Jamal Haynes really pop off, that would do him a lot of favors.
Oh, absolutely. It will. Well, I'm not too much worried about the offensive line. Some people might be. I'm not, because you still got great guards in Fusel and Rutledge.
Yep.
And, I mean, your head coach is an offensive lineman. I would assume he's going to recruit some people that can play at tackle.
Yeah, you got one that was a freshman All-American, Nathan McKinney, I'm sure is ready to go.
Like, it's not like he's just putting brand new fresh meat out there. He's going to put some guys who know how to play.
For sure.
Now, in terms of pass rush, that's the biggest concern for me.
Yeah, losing Romello Height. Well, not just Romello Height. I mean, that hurt because you lost him in the portal and Texas Tech bought him. But literally every pass rusher you had off last year's roster is gone. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the guys I'm happy to bring back in terms of defensive line is Vandenberg.
Yes.
Later in the season, he started stepping up big time.
Yeah, he's going to be, the leader on that front at defensive tackle for sure. He's just, I mean, this is a reason. Who was the guy that went to South Carolina? It ended up being the best.
Kennard.
Kyle Kennard. That's why he left. Like, he couldn't get any help from anyone around him. When you can just double team their best defensive lineman and not worry about the rest, it's rough.
No, who's that guy that we got coming from Mercer? That SoCon player. Is it Malloy?
That is Hansley. Let me look.
Mansley?
Mansley, yes.
Yeah. I think he's going to be really good. Because some people might say, well, the level of competition still, even though if you're dominating the level of competition to that extent where you're defensive player of the year, you're a step above. I'm not too worried about him.
Dang, Motivated Dedicated says, I was told Colorado has the best secondary in the nation. By who? A brain-dead Deion Sanders fan? They just lost the best defender in the country. Best, arguably, in Hunter. Who they got behind him?
No, Colorado's going to definitely take a step back. I think they'll be okay. I think the first game will be good. I'm debating if I'm going to drive out there or not.
We were talking about doing it.
It's a long way.
We want to go to Casa Bonita.
Yeah, Casa Bonita from South Park is out there, and we were excited about that.
I'm still debating, but I think they'll be okay. But I think we'll have a good shot against them just because, I mean, they're breaking in that new quarterback from Canton, right?
Juju Lewis, Carrollton, yeah. But they brought in a guy from, Tulane or something that might end up starting day one for them. The thing with them is they just lose a lot off their team last year, and he's not necessarily been the world's greatest recruiter either, so we'll see. I mean, he just got paid. He's getting paid $10 million a year now, so
he can only do so much with his name to recruit. I mean, Deion Sanders being your coach can only get you so far. You got to show it at a point, which, like I said, losing people give Shador and Travis, a lot of stuff, but I mean, truth be told, they both are immensely talented.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone was saying that they weren't. It was that you have these 3-4 really talented players. Shador was sacked 39 times last year, though. They didn't have an offensive line to help them, and their defense was not very good. So it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is if more than half your team isn't that good.
Oh, absolutely. But they had one of the more underrated receivers last year as going into the draft is I think it wasn't Joe Horn, I think is his name, or his last name's Horn. I know that.
Trey Horn or something. I don't remember his first name.
Yeah. He's very underrated, but man, losing him's going to be real big for their offense because he was very good at getting open deep.
For sure. Well, all right, man. We'll leave. We'll let you go. We got some other people in the back room, but I appreciate you coming on, Mystic.
No problem, man. Thank y'all.
Jimmy Horn. Okay. Yeah, I don't know people's names. I'm just going to be honest with you. What's going on, Zach? You're on with Wreck and Sea-Dog.
Yo, what up, man?
What's going on?
Mystic, if you're still listening, I hope you didn't waste too much money.
Yeah, I don't think Zach thinks Haynes is winning the Heisman.
I love Haynes King to death. I mean, I love him to death. I'll say this. I bought all 22 film off of a guy on Reddit that I got in contact with. He's a football coach, and he has access to all college film. And it'll show you the complete field that you don't see on TV. And I'll say after watching a couple of the, it gives you all the offense, every single play. I'll say this: I just don't think King is talented enough to pass downfield because I've seen at least 20 or 30 plays so far already, and I'm only halfway through the season. I'm only about 6 or 7 games in, and I've already seen about 20 or 30 plays where he'll have somebody at least 20 yards downfield, and he'll hesitate to throw it, and it'll be late, or he'll just completely not hit him, and then he'll have to hit his check down. I love King to death. I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's talented enough to hit those downfield shots, in order to win a big award like that.
Yeah, I think King is talented. One of my things I've kind of noticed about King is it feels like he kind of will just determine who he wants to go to pre-snap, which I mean every quarterback's going to do that. But he takes too long to come off that. Like that's what got him in trouble. His first year is he would force it, and then last year he wouldn't necessarily force it, but he would hold on to the ball too long, or he relied on his legs to just get
Well,
him
that's
5
the
or 6
thing. It's
yards.
like, if you watch a player like Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders, they're not the best quarterbacks this year, but any good quarterback, going into the draft, if you watch them, they're going to have confidence in their throws. They're going to analyze, but they're going to have confidence in their throws. 2023 Haynes King, he had way too much confidence, and then 2024 Haynes King didn't have enough confidence. He has to find a sweet spot, to where you have enough confidence to make those tight, deep throws. But I don't think King has the talent enough to find that sweet spot. He hesitates way too much, and if that first guy isn't there, he hesitates and he instantly goes to the check down or he takes off.
Yeah, him taking off is what is. I mean, he's just not going to finish the season. King will be checkmated when they play the Dogs, like he was last year. What did he have? Like 280 yards of offense on his own? Or no, he had like 300 something. Let's go see. How many yards did King have?
He had 400. He had over 400 total yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that sounds like a checkmate. Yeah, 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. And
definitely not his fault for the loss.
And then dragging your defensive linemen like little girls up and down the field. Yeah, that's being checkmated. Well, that's a different argument, Wayplay. Whether you checkmated a player or you won the game. I know you're a Georgia fan and you can't really think logically, right? That's why you root for Georgia. But those are two different things, right? Like right from left, something else you don't know. Two different things.
I'll say though, I know. We're talking a lot about the defensive line. I'll say, I think if they hit on these guys, which I think like Braden Manley, SoCon Defensive Player of the Year, I'm very high on him. He put up 10 sacks with Mercer this year. I think this is what we need. He is going to have to elevate and show that he can produce at the next level. I think he can. AJ Hoffler. I see some people saying he's going to be the number 1 edge rusher just because he's from Clemson. I don't think he is. He didn't really do good at Clemson. I think he'll be number 2, probably behind Braden Manley. Okay. And that Clemson to Georgia Tech pipeline isn't really good.
Usually ends up in UMass, but yeah.
Yeah, we need those two to produce. Triplett, I think he'll be okay. I mean, he was at UTSA and he only had I think he finished with 3 or 4 sacks. I think he'll be decent. As a backup, and then they said Matt Alexander is doing solid right now too. So I mean, I think the front guys will be solid, but after that, our defensive line, our depth is going to be worse than it was last year.
Yeah. It looks today like our depth is going to be worse. I mean, I don't really see how you could look at it another way. We graduated 4 or 5 players off the defensive line. We lose 9, we bring in 9. Now 2 of those were transfers out that didn't play. So I guess you're losing 7 key guys off the defensive linemen. So that means you need at least 4 of these 9 coming in to be really good players for you.
That's not a good formula for winning. You can't sit here and say, okay, this guy from the SoCon, even though me personally, I'm going to speak unbiased. But biased wise, I think he'll be solid. But from an unbiased point of view, you can't say, okay, this guy won the SoCon DPOY. We need him to instantly translate to the next level. You can't rely on that.
Yeah, we need him to be all ACC.
Yeah, but you can't rely on AJ Hoffler to come from Clemson to Georgia Tech, where they had a way better defensive line, and he was a backup, and he barely saw any playing time. You can't expect him to come over here and instantly put up 5 or 6 sacks. Because with low depth, you need at least him and Manley to have probably 5 or 6 sacks if you want to have a good, solid, edge rusher duo. If those 2 guys don't at least put up 4 or 5 sacks a piece, you're pretty much screwed.
Well, I think you're going to have to find creative ways around the depth you don't have at the defensive line. So exotic stunt and blitz packages would be one way, and then creative coverages and disguising blitzes. I mean, this is kind of textbook defense, but your talent on defense is on the back end of it. It's at linebacker and defensive back. So if we could really step up in the defensive back room, which was probably weaker last year. I mean, if I'm just being honest, we struggled to cover downfield. If we could kind of flip that, we might be okay this year with the defense. I mean, who knows with the new DC?
I'll say though, I think a guy that I don't really see a whole lot of Tech fans talking about, and I think it's mainly because of his stats. Melvin Jordan from Oregon State, and I mean I'm high on the guy who was a freshman last year. He saw some playing time, but
Tajay
Melvin
Butler.
Jordan, he's like a drop back linebacker. He's I think 6'2", 225, 6'2", 230, something like that. He's like a drop back linebacker. I think at Oregon State he put up like 45 tackles. I think him and Eford could be like a really, if you mix them with the DB room, I think they could make up for, the slacking D line.
Yeah, I think that's what made Santucci so good last year. The way he rotated in linebackers to fit situations, I think, was really good. Like, we noticed that Eford kind of got exposed as far as pass coverage last year, and I think he did a really good job of covering that up by just rotating the right guys in. Because we do have a pretty good linebacker core. You got Jackson Hamilton, you've got EJ Lightsley, you got Kyle Eford, Tajay Butler. They're all returning, and they were all guys that played substantial time last year. Then you bring in Cayman Spalding, that people are pretty high on. Like you just said, Melvin Jordan. So I mean, that's 6 guys that can help you out there. I'm not worried about linebacker.
No, I'm not worried about linebackers at all, and I think DBs as well. I mean, I've spoken with Tay Harris personally, and I've spoken with him more than Dalen Pinson, but I've said a few words to Dalen Pinson as well. But I mean, based on what I've spoken with Tay Harris and a few of the other DBs, I mean, they obviously can't go in great detail. They're not going to give you the scheme, but I mean, based on what they're saying, I mean, it seems like he's going to be trying to do a lot of what Texas is doing, and if that's the case, I think we have the DB room for it. Not as good as Texas's DB room, but I think we could somewhat replicate it.
Yeah, schematically for sure. Yeah, and look, we got a lot of talent in that room. What is this wait? EJ Lightsley still with the team? Why would he not be? I mean, he's on the roster for the spring game, so I'm assuming he's still on the team. Why would he not be on the team?
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about that.
And you were talking about Clayton the other day, I think, in one of your live streams or maybe one of the videos. I think Clayton is going to take off this year. I don't know if he'll be like all ACC, but I think he could have a year that possibly gets him drafted.
I think that's right. When you bring in a guy that's an expert in defensive backs, probably the best defensive back coach in the country, you're bringing in as your DC. And Clayton, I mean, think about this. Clayton Powlee has had Thacker, the other guy that we replaced him with, Santucci. He's on his 4th DC.
Yeah.
So people that are seniors on this defense that have been here for 4 years are on their 4th DC. They had 2 DCs in the same year. So that didn't do him any favors for sure. I think you're right. He is an immensely talented kid that's just had to learn a lot of different schemes.
He's had to do way too much. You don't want your, it's like you said in the video, he's had to play linebacker. You don't want your, if I'll say this, one bad thing about Clayton, he's a tiny bit undersized for the safety position he plays. And that's not the guy you want coming up doing all that. You want him to play his true position. If he was a monster athletic freak, okay, it'd be a different story. But he's not. He's good for what he is, but you don't want him doing too much. You can't ask that out of a player.
For sure. Well, Zach, I appreciate having you on. We got some more people in the back room, man. Well, you'll be at the spring game, I'm sure, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. We'll see you there.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Dog, we got our boy Ballard on here, Alabama man. What's going on, Ballard?
Ballard, what's up?
What's up, boys? How's it going in tech country?
It's going swimmingly, man. How about you? How's it going in Bama country?
And we're hanging in here, man. Unfortunately for us, our spring game won't be televised, and I don't really have much plans to go down there this weekend. But just because I didn't really plan ahead for it. But other than that, I'm doing okay, man. I'm hearing good reports on the team and everything. And what about you guys? How's Tech gonna look Saturday?
Well, I mean, look, spring games are for the fans, really. That's why it's tragic that so many teams are canceling them. I mean, the most we can gather as Tech fans is what is our defensive line going to look like? Who do they have playing? Because there's going to be another transfer portal window. So you're going to have people for Bama transfer out. You're going to have people that transferred in the first window and transfer out in the second window. So it's not really worth getting too worked up over what you see this Saturday, but we'll see. I mean, the roster is going to look different. I mean, they asked Brent Key in the press conference, like, hey, are you going to take people in this next transfer window? He's like, yeah, yes, I am. Now, the other thing, Ballard, and I don't know what's going on in Lawn Tractor Life, there's a new rule this year. You have to get down to 105 players. So I don't know what your roster's sitting at now. From what I can tell, with the freshman class we have coming in, we're probably sitting around 116. So we got to get rid of some guys. I'm sure that's an issue for Alabama, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I'm not sure exactly what it's at. It is over 100. Like you said, you got to keep it at 10. What was it? 104, 105?
105.
Something like
They're
that.
all on scholarship, but your roster cannot exceed 105 players. Yeah, you can come on. There's a StreamYard link.
I'm not sure what we're at.
There's a StreamYard link pinned at the top of the chat, Lon. You can come on.
Yeah. I'm not sure what we're at as far as how many players we got, but obviously it's, one of those things where I trust Kalen DeBoer. Like, look, if he knows who to keep, who not to keep, who to tell to hit the bricks, and, like, it's going to work itself out, man. I mean, yeah, I'm actually just finding out. I I didn't realize you could only keep that many players this year. I mean, is that new or is that?
Yeah.
I know like the scholarship rules and stuff, but
It's new, and I think it's a way because what teams are doing now in the NIL era is there's basically unlimited scholarships. Because if you don't have a scholarship to give, you could only have 85, and you want a top tier player, you're just going to pay his tuition with NIL. So this is a way to basically around roster stacking, which they were able to do in the past. And I'm not pointing fingers, but this is the reason we left the ACC over your school. Not NIL, but roster stacking was the issue.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it might actually work out. That might be one of the big changes that we've seen the last couple of years that probably works out for the better of football because we got a lot of changes that have kind of crapped us,
We had to address that. Now, the other end of it is there won't be any more walk-ons. So players that would be a walk-on are not going to play at a school like Alabama or, these Power 4, whatever we're calling them teams. They'll have to go to lower classification schools. And then players like Joe Fusel for Georgia Tech are never going to get a shot, right? He's a guy that came in as a walk-on, ended up earning a scholarship and has started at right guard for us for the past 2 or 3 years. So that's one unintended consequence of it.
I gotcha. So how let's talk about y'all's schedule a little bit, man. How are you beefing with the Buffalo fan base for that Friday night game yet? Have you talked to anybody?
There has been some beef. I mean, right now the beef is with Georgia State, if you can believe that. I got the schedule pulled up here.
Yeah.
The only beef I've seen with Colorado fans is they posted a picture of their lineman. One of these guys did on Twitter, and he's like, "Ain't nobody worried about Georgia Tech. Look at these linemen." And we're like, yeah, you gave up 39 sacks last year. So,
Yeah.
I-
With a quarterback that's still going in the first round, which you still got to replace. Like,
no, you're not going to derail the stream, Lon. Come on. You can't derail. You know how schizophrenic I am. We were just talking about getting choked in wrestling 30 minutes ago. You can't derail this. But yeah, we'll look past your lineman to see, a quarterback on your back. And you're right. 39 sacks to a mobile quarterback they gave up. That's
right.
a pretty dog shit offensive line to be talking trash to a top 10 offensive line last year in Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
But you can't reason with
It's
Colorado fans, man, or Dion fans.
no,
You can't do it.
can't. I mean, they're not. It's like Uncle Lou once said. They're not Colorado fans. They're Dion fans, is what they are. I mean,
Which is a fact. They're paying $10 million to a guy
yeah,
that, what has he done? I mean, financially, he's done the world for Colorado, and I get that. But as far as winning games, football, what has he done to justify $10 million a year? We're living in crazy world. We're paying, well, first of all, it makes more sense to pay Bill Belichick $10 million at North Carolina, but he's coached less college football than Dion has.
right.
This is insane-o world.
And if anything, for Bill Belichick's case, to get that money over Dion, it's like, well, I had Tom Brady. I won 6 Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? Like, in
I do.
Dion's coaching career? Like, yeah, he's put together some good teams, but he hasn't really won anything at a high level yet.
He never won his conference at Jackson State when he had 5 stars. He had a 5-star and multiple 4-stars on an HBCU. Never won his conference. $10 million a year, though. All right, well, Ballard, we're going to move on. We got TriStar in the back room here.
All right.
We're going to see
All
what
right.
he's got to
Love
say.
y'all, man. Y'all be good.
Love you
See
too,
you later,
buddy.
Ballard.
TriStar, you're on with Wreck and Sea Dog. What's going on, buddy?
Sea Dog, man, I tried calling you the other day. I was gonna say, hey, I'm glad to have the home and home. And what's funny is when that was announced, I got tagged like 40 times on Twitter.
Did you? By who? By Tech fans?
Well, a lot of just people that follow me and what I've been saying about what I think how the conferences are going to look in 10 years. Like, oh yeah, I guarantee TriStar is creaming over this.
Well, are you?
Well, no, but I'm happy to see it. I mean,
I'm happy to see it.
And what's great,
I'm happy.
And what's great is the Tennessee fan base is ecstatic. Like a lot of Tennessee fans are like, yeah, why don't we play them way more often? Because they remember that 2017 game, and a lot of people don't know this. And I loved what you talked about. I didn't even know that about the history with the car and the Tennessee students trashed it. Apparently, I'd never even heard that story.
Yeah, in '63.
Last year y'all was in the conference with us. But yeah, you think about it, Bobby Dodd, who's, the best coach ever at Tech, and, he's he is Robert Nealon's first big time player.
Yeah, I did not. So you had told me that. I didn't know he was a protege of Robert Nealon. I also didn't know Robert Nealon, because I'm not a Tennessee fan, was a brigadier general. Like, what kind of big balls do you have to be a brigadier general and a top tier college football coach?
Well, he didn't coach from 30. He didn't coach from 39 to 45, obviously, because of World War II. But then he got back in 46, and then you had some matchups with, obviously with Dodd and Nealon, and then obviously you had a legendary feud with Dodd and Bear Bryant.
Yes. Just why we're not in the SEC.
Well, it really is more because of Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Because Dodd and Bear Bryant actually made up. I want to say in the early 70s, they fixed their relationship. They apologized or whatever, they made up. And Bear Bryant actually sponsored Tech to be added back to the conference. But it was the two Mississippi schools. It was Ole Miss, Mississippi State, that voted against it because Johnny Bott, who was the the legendary Ole Miss coach, who the stadium's named after, uh, were still holding the grudge from years back because Tech refused to ever play a game in the state of Mississippi.
Well, I
Because what
mean,
people maybe don't know is back then you actually could decide what conference opponents you played.
that I didn't know. So the two teams that have, to my knowledge, never won the SEC did not want Tech back in, who has won it
Well,
more than they
well,
ever will.
actually, Mississippi State, I think they have one SEC title. That was in, I think, like in '41, and then Ole Miss had some, like Ole Miss and Georgia Tech were really like the two best programs in the conference from like the '50s to the early '60s because they were kind of trading SEC titles, and usually they were finishing 1-2 every year because that was when you had Johnny Bott there at Ole Miss and obviously had Bobby Dodd at Tech. But I think like this home and home's great. It's great for both. Tennessee gets an old rival back. Obviously it's good for Tech because they get to play another SEC team, a team that they have so much history with. They're think about this. Georgia Tech left the SEC in '64.
Yeah.
And up until really 1979 when they joined the ACC, they were still in a way an SEC team without being a member because every year they were still playing Alabama, they were still playing Auburn, they were still playing Tennessee, and obviously Georgia because that's a state law. But they were still playing, I think, Florida quite a bit. They played obviously Vandy. I love that. I love that trophy, by the way, the golden cowbell or whatever. I love that thing.
I'm not aware the golden cowbell. You talking about Ole Miss and
No,
that's
Vandy and Georgia Tech.
They had a trophy.
They have a trophy. Yeah, as a matter of fact, at the what was it, the Birmingham Bowl that y'all played them in this past season?
They had the Bell Trophy.
Yeah, well, they brought it out. Like, the winner got to keep the trophy because that was the first time that they played each other since I want to say like the '70s.
Okay, yeah.
But then see, Tech played Tennessee every year until 1987. They played Auburn every year until '87. They played Alabama every year until I want to say '85. So they still played those teams every year. They were kind of forced into not playing them by the ACC, from what I understand. And then that's why they now just almost exclusively play Georgia every year. But as I've told everybody, I said, listen, number one, because everybody keeps saying, oh, when a real job opens up like LSU or something like that, Brent Key's going to go somewhere. I'm like, no, he's not. He's from there. He played at Tech. He loves it there. That dude's not going anywhere. That dude's building a juggernaut.
Well,
he's done a hell of a job.
A lot of people have said that. And look, just because he's a Tech guy doesn't necessarily mean he would never leave Tech. But he's already taken way less money than what he could probably make elsewhere to stay at Tech. And I believe
because he wants to build something. He wants to build it.
I'm not worried about Key going anywhere else. And Sea-Dog and I have talked about this. Like, if you wanted to move Key from Tech, it would cost way more than Brent Key is worth as a coach. And that's not me trashing Brent Key.
Yeah.
But you'd have to make him probably the highest paid coach in the country or something near that for him to be willing to move Georgia Tech. Brent Key's just not worth that.
Right. And again, I'll point this out too. Everybody laughs at my takes about how Tech's going to end up back in the conference. And you two know that. Everybody laughs at me. Oh, that's never going to happen. I said, well, think about this. They just did a home and home with Mississippi State, and they did a home and home with Ole Miss. It ended in 23.
Yeah.
Now they're about to do a home and home with Tennessee, and then I think in 2029 they do a home and home with Alabama. What does that tell you?
That's probably the most sensible thing you've said on the subject. That is a good point, though. Like, this predates Jay Batt, but if you were really trying to audition to get into the SEC, who we've scheduled from there makes a lot of sense for that.
And it makes too much sense. I mean, you're in Atlanta, you're a founding charter member, and obviously the people that held that grudge over Bobby Dodd. They're all dead and gone now. So there's new people there, and you got, and there's, as I've said to numerous people, Tech is a damn gold mine that has just been waiting to get tapped. Because you think you're right there in the middle of Atlanta. Think about this: Anthony Edwards, the guy who went to play basketball at UGA, who's now arguably outside of LeBron James, is he the biggest name in the NBA right now? Would you say?
I guess, yeah.
He's up there. He literally grew up 5 streets down the road from Georgia Tech, but I think y'all's basketball coach didn't even like recruit him.
Well, I think Georgia Tech could be a gold mine for somebody. I just don't know that it is for the SEC. So, what does Georgia Tech offer the SEC that they don't have? And now you're going to get me to admitting things that I don't want to admit. There's a ton of Georgia fans in Atlanta. There's a ton of Florida State fans in Atlanta. There's a ton of Auburn and Clemson fans in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Atlanta is now a transplant city. Not just the city, but Cobb County, DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, the whole metro area. Like I said, I used to live in Kennesaw, Georgia. I used to live in Cobb County, and honestly, I seen, and this was in 2018, I seen more Tennessee fans up there than I did Georgia fans.
In Atlanta?
Well, no, in Kennesaw, like Ackworth,
in the
Kennesaw
metro
area.
Yeah, and so then
Yeah,
it's like, what does that market offer them? Nothing, in my opinion. But there aren't any Big Ten, or there aren't many, if any, Big Ten or Big 12 fans in Atlanta, and that would be a new market for them.
Right. Well, the thing is, though, is that from what I've heard from people down there, like I said, just having lived in the area and talking to people, Tech people down there, is that the end goal is to eventually get back into the SEC, because they, bad decisions were made years ago, and they've realized that. But the problem was, for years you had still a lot of grudges that were being held, but those grudges are not held anymore. Like, I'll give you an example. When Tech went to Ole Miss, what was that, in 23, I think?
Yeah,
it was 23 or 20. No, yeah, it was 23. From what I was being told was that Greg Sankey was getting all up close and personal with Tech's AD, and I don't see why he would do that. Except, and from what I've been hearing, is that they do have an offer once they're able to get out of the ACC.
You're hearing that from who?
Well, people in Atlanta. That's what I'm being told.
People in Atlanta. Who in Atlanta is telling you this? I mean, I'm not saying it won't happen.
Right.
If a Tech fan told me that, though, I'd say that sounds like wishful thinking. But anyways, you could very well be right. We're going to take one more call. I appreciate you coming on, TriStar. Looking forward to this home and home, Atlanta and Knoxville. We'll talk to you soon.
Please put it in Bobby Dodd Stadium. Please, for the love of God, don't put it in Mercedes.
That's what we want, but I don't have control over it.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. All right, we're going to take our last call for the night. Goldfella is on. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
What's going on, man?
Living. Excited for this season.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of things to be excited about for this season. We got a little bit, from what I can see here, I got the schedule put up a little bit easier schedule than last year, though that could, who knows, maybe Virginia Tech's way better. Maybe NC State takes a step up or something. I still think Clemson's going to be a really tough game. By the way, Pigskin Pete coming down for that game, so we'll stream with him. But yeah, man, you going to be at the spring game tomorrow?
I wish. I'm actually at one of my competitions. I'm actually going to be on campus, but at one of those ballroom competitions.
What competitions?
Ballroom dance.
Barroom dance?
Ballroom dance.
Ballroom dance?
Holy
Yeah, I'm one of the coaches for the team for Georgia Tech. So they're hosting it on the same day, which makes me sad.
Damn.
So how are you judged in ballroom dancing? I have a lot of questions now.
Okay, so multiple people take the floor at the same time, and then you have professionals who are standing to the side, and they pick who they want to see in the next round, and that happens over and over again until the final round where they rank you.
So you're a coach, you said?
I coach the tech team, and I
What?
compete, but I spend most of my time coaching.
That's awesome.
So you must have a bunch of experience if you're qualified to coach a team.
I mean, I'm a volunteer coach. I don't have a ton of experience.
Oh, I see.
Like I'm decent, but I'm not like a world beater.
Look, we're not
see.
golfing. You don't have to sandbag
Yeah.
with us. All right. Can anyone enter this?
It any yes yes they can.
Sea Dog. You know what I'm thinking.
I'm way ahead of you.
We need to meander
Where?
here. Is it at 1? What time is it?
It's all day, and spectating is free, and it starts. It runs from like
We lost you.
No.
No.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can
I
you
can
hear
hear
me?
So close.
Please continue.
Oh, it runs from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can come in at any point.
So if we got there at 8, we could at least do one dance.
Well, no, you could spectate.
Well, you said anyone could enter.
Well,
Not,
yeah, but
not to
sign
compete.
up is closed. Yeah, you can enter and watch. Sign up closed a week ago.
Do you think they would let us just do one dance?
No, I don't think so. There's over 40 people, and they got to run it quick.
Well, I could do it. I could cut a jig pretty quick. You know.
I mean, it's official choreography, so I don't know if that would work, but you could definitely spectate.
Well, Sea Dog and I are more freestyle dancers, so this might not be
No,
the
I
venue
don't think
for
that
us.
would work out.
Dang, man.
But it's in the CRC, and it is free to view. So if you pop by, I will be there starting at like 7 a.m. because I'm helping set up.
All right, I think we might have to get there a little bit earlier. Spectate a little ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Well, I hate you're gonna miss the spring game. Now you got this is Goldfella X, by the way. Do we have any updates on the Goldfellas?
So I have less, obviously, as an alum. I'm not as plugged in as I used to be. Things look good. I believe we have the same guy leading as we did last year, and he's done a great job. I mean, I don't know if you noticed what those but it went from obviously they were not even letting any of us behind the goalposts to we were there to some really, really good attendance. So I'm very optimistic over what's going to happen, especially when, we're coming back home for Gardner Webb and then Clemson. I'm really hoping that the Goldfellas kind of show out for those.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, they will.
I don't know if you noticed, but the Georgia Tech Alumni Association, I believe, or some news area, they sent out an email to all the alumni about the Goldfellas. I don't know if you got that email, but it talked about, they didn't get everything right. There were some things that were not correct, but they did talk about the Goldfellas and stuff. So I'm like, maybe we're getting more acceptance by the university again.
Yeah, this is like probably my biggest criticism. I think I said something on Twitter like Georgia Tech has this issue with turning their nose up to good things, and especially in a way, usually in a way that screws people that are the most loyal to them, and I just don't get it.
Well, and the Goldfellas were one of the earlier groups that had that like consistent theme. This is a group that is always painted, always in this location, spelling something out. And it just made me sad when they were like, yeah, we aren't interested in having you there. When it's, this is only for season ticket holders. But I'm like, you're killing a tradition that
for students
has existed for a long time. Exactly.
Not like I couldn't go right now and buy season tickets in that section. That's
correct.
You have to be a student, so that it's crazy they would say, "Oh, you have to be season ticket holders." When I think it's like $70 when I was a student to get season tickets there. That they're acting like this is some elitist thing, and we're selling our home games to NBA. We're getting $10 million to play Georgia there, however many $1 million to play Tennessee. Whatever that's going to be, the $20 million in revenue share, and all this money, you can't do right by the Goldfellas. You can't just say for like 2 away games this year, we'll pay for y'all to go up there.
That would be so cool. I mean, they considered us one of their unofficial mascots. There was a whole poll. It's like, who's your favorite unofficial mascot? Now, we lost to no. Who's your favorite mascot? And we were put up. We were like the 16 seed or whatever the bottom seed was. So we went against Buzz and obviously lost. But
That's
we
rough.
were considered a
Buzz.
mascot,
Oh,
or
considered
not
a
unofficial.
mascot.
It was like, who's your favorite
Where did-
mascot tournament?
Oh.
It was on like
Where
Instagram.
did the buzzsaw place in that?
I didn't see the buzzsaw on it.
You didn't see the buzzsaw?
Macho
No.
Wreck was on there though. I saw him.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, right.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. I think he made a statement.
Maybe
When-
they were on the super fan polls rather than the mascot polls.
I thought you were gonna say like the
That makes
retiree polls or something. I was gonna be heartbroken.
Hey, that wrestling video was top tier.
Yeah, the
Great
guy who
beef.
filmed that did a really good job.
Yeah.
I agree.
What a guy. What a guy.
Oh, we got a Louisville fan in the chat. I wish Georgia Tech was playing Louisville this year. That's the one game, that and Virginia Tech last year. If I could have back.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
nothing against Louisville. Louisville, probably a more talented team. I think they probably were last year, but damn, we didn't do ourselves any favors in winning that game at all. That or Virginia
The
Tech.
Louisville 2023 game stung so bad. I mean, I still remember that one. And then, yeah, 2024. I mean, yeah, wild games for sure.
Yeah, they've broken our hearts a few times, but well, all right, man, I'm gonna get off here. Obviously, I have to get rested to see some ballroom dancing.
Yeah, for sure. I also need to get rested because I'll be dancing for like 12 hours tomorrow.
Nice.
Well, all right, man, I appreciate you coming on, and we love the Gold Fellas.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good night.
All right, man, you too.
If the Golden Fellas have any supporters, it's us. Even if the school doesn't.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't even let them sit where they've sat since Moses, where
Yeah.
I guess that's a mix of Jesus and Moses. Wore short pants. Anyways, check that link, Rick. Oh yeah, so I pulled it up. This is ranking Big Ten starting quarterbacks. They have Zach Pyron at the bottom, but I am glad to see Zach Pyron starting. I mean, I think they've got him at the bottom just because he's never played a down of Big Ten football and he's not a recruit.
They're not going to probably nobody knows who he is.
Yeah, I would be rooting. I'll be rooting for Zach Pyron. I hope he's at the top of that list at the end of next year.
I do too.
Well, all right. Me and C-Dog will be at the spring game tomorrow. Come out and see us if you're going to be there. We'd love to see you. Love to talk to you. And hell, I'll give C-Dog the last word, but we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow and go Team Swarm.
Team Wreck 'em. Wreck 'em. Wreck 'em, Wreck 'em. Wreck 'em, Willie. Let's go. All right, we're off.